Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Everyone is still reeling from Saturday's massacre at the Squirrel Hill Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, where 11 congregants were murdered and 6 more people, including 4 police officers, were injured. Thousands gathered for candlelit vigils, community members laid wreaths, and worldwide support and solidarity for Pittsburgh was expressed. The names of the victims, all aged between 54 and 97, have since been released, and among them are a pair of brothers and a married couple. They are Joyce Feinberg, 75, of Oakland City, Pittsburgh, Richard Gottfried, 65, of Ross Township, Rose Mallinger, 97, of Squirrel Hill, Pittsburgh, Jerry Rabinowitz, 66, of Edgewood Borough, Cecil Rosenthal, 59, and his brother David, 54, of Squirrel Hill, Bernice Simon and her husband Sylvan, 84 and 86, of Wilkinsburg, David Stein, 71, of Squirrel Hill, Melvin Wax, 88, of Squirrel Hill, and finally Irving Younger, 69, of Mount Washington City, Pittsburgh. In Jerusalem, a tribute video was displayed on the Old City walls, and during the weekly Security Cabinet meeting on Sunday, Prime Minister Netanyahu led the room in a moment of silence. Even Israel's ultra-Orthodox Chief Rabbi David Lau spoke out against the attack, saying, quote, "Any murder of a Jew in any center of the world because they are Jewish is unforgivable." This despite Lau refusing to acknowledge that the Tree of Life Synagogue was even a synagogue, instead referring to it as, quote, "a place of clear Jewish character," end quote. But unfortunately, many report feeling even more divided than ever after this attack and not together. First, this incident is far from having occurred in a vacuum. According to a Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle report, between January and September this year, over 50 anti-Semitic incidents were reported in Pittsburgh alone, most in the very same Squirrel Hill neighborhood. Additionally, the terrorist, Robert Bowers, did subscribe to alt-right and neo-Nazi ideologies, and in the aftermath of his shooting that left 11 dead and 6 wounded, some in the American political left went as far as blaming the victims and the Trump administration's policies on Israel as justification for the heinous terror attack. Julia Lofi, a reporter from GQ magazine, for example, tweeted, quote, "A word to my fellow American Jews, this president makes this possible, here where you live. I hope the embassy move over there, in Israel, where you don't live was worth it," end quote. Laffey later deleted the post, but then followed it up with a full article defending her statement. Similarly, The Atlantic published its own piece blaming Jewish conservative and Republican voters, saying that, quote, "any strategy for enhancing the security of American Jewry should involve shunning Trump's Jewish enablers. Their money should be refused, their presence in synagogues not welcome. They have placed their community in danger," end quote. A chant of "vote, vote, vote" broke out during a mourners gathering as well, but regardless of political affiliation, the suggestion that anyone deserves death for their ideas in the democratic political spectrum is abhorrent, vile, and in this case, horribly anti-Semitic. Palestinian Health Ministry officials are reporting today that 3 boys aged 12 to 14 were killed last night by an Israeli airstrike in the Gaza Strip. The IDF at the same time is claiming that they struck 3 male targets who were in the midst of placing an explosive device on the border fence. To date, since the conflict along the Gaza border escalated in March, 216 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli forces in similar circumstances, while Palestinians launched rockets and incendiary balloons into Israeli communities, threw stones and Molotov cocktails at the border and at IDF troops, and otherwise attempted to damage or infiltrate the border. 1 Israeli soldier was also killed by sniper fire. Israeli officials claim that the use of deadly force is necessary to prevent infiltration and further attacks, but that's not enough for southern Israeli citizens, who have for years suffered the brunt of Palestinian aggression. Residents from communities along the Gaza border came together this morning to block the KEREM Shalom crossing into Gaza from taking in aid to the Palestinians. When opened, the crossing sees an average of 800 truckfuls of goods entering the strip each day. But despite aid and fuel going into the strip, only terror seems to come out, leading protesters to hold similar demonstrations over the past few days as well. This also comes just days after rocket fire was again initiated from Gaza, leaving just about no one trusting that the ceasefire reached afterwards with Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad will hold. Local and municipal elections in Israel are coming up on Tuesday in what for many areas has been a particularly heated campaign. Mayoralty in major cities, small towns, and regional councils from Jerusalem to Tel Aviv to the settlements and to the Druze councils in the Golan will all be up for grabs, making this an historically important election as well. Unfortunately, though, voter turnout is the biggest issue. In local elections, voter turnout has historically been much lower than in the national campaigns, at just 51.9% overall in 2013, and that number even falls to rates as low as 28.7% in Tel Aviv-Yafo and 36.1% in Jerusalem. But this year, officials are hopeful that a new law giving workers the day off to vote with pay will boost civic participation. Only certain public services, like the news, will continue as usual, but the voting booths stay open from early until late just in case. The local authorities play a major role in Israeli life, and this election is indeed important. Israel is divided into more than 260 local authorities, from major cities to smaller municipalities and rural communities, and the mayors and councils focus on issues vital to public health, such as education, culture, infrastructure, commerce, quality of life, and a variety of much more. So make sure to get out and vote. Just after Israeli judokas Gili Cohen, Baruch Shmailov, and Timna Nelson Levy made history this weekend, snagging bronze in their weight classes at the UAE Grand Slam, veteran Israeli judoka Sagi Muki has now also made history, defeating Belgium's Matthias Kassi for the gold. But of course, that's not all. As mentioned before, Israelis have appeared at similar events in the Arab Gulf in the past, but for years their participation was limited, and Israeli national anthems or symbols were banned. But not this year. This year, not only was the flag of Israel proudly displayed on Sunday, Israel's national anthem Hatikva was played for the first time ever in the United Arab Emirates. Further, during the anthem, Culture and Sports Minister Miri Regev openly wept and wrote on social media, quote, "We made history. The people of Israel live," end quote. She then credited the International Judo Federation president, Austria's Marius Weiser, for influencing the organizers to change their policy on Israeli symbols. Abu Dhabi's hosting rights were revoked for their discriminatory practices last year until September, when the UAE promised to allow full participation for all competing delegations. And then now, in yet another judo first for Israel, the Jewish state has even secured hosting rights for the International Judo Federation's 2019 Grand Prix event. Minister Regev said, quote, "Everyone is invited." That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.